Hey guys, what's happening? Jay here, smarthelping.com. I've got another financial model template for you. We've got a one pager here. It's a waterfall, and primary use is if you have an initial investment, you have some future cash flows, and you want to split those between two parties. Mainly, or usually between an LP and a GP. LPs could be investor pools, GPs, you could also have investor pools. Um, So really simply, just plug in positive and negative cash flows at the top. You put in the percentage that the LP and GP are contributing. Then you have your tiers here. Now, I've done maybe, I don't know, 8 or 9 unique waterfalls that do similar things at a high level. You're splitting cash based on different types of hurdles, but a bunch of unique ones. Now, this one specifically is a unique where you can define how the percentage of cash flows get split up to the pref and up to the full repayment of the LP's equity. And then here's where it gets tricky, or here's a new thing. In tier 3 here, you can say, okay, I want to split cash a certain percentage to the LP and GP until either this IRR hurdle is met or this equity multiple, also known as MOIC or multiple on invested capital, is reached. Whichever is hit first, whenever one of those are hit, then we move to tier 4. And typically you'll see, LPs are getting most of the cash flows until tier 3. And then once this final hurdle is hit, then it switches and the GP will get most of the cash flows or more. And it depends. This is all negotiation, how you define these percentages. But this model allows you to plug in various percentages here and see how the cash flows. I also did a winning method here, or which shows what was actually used in the end, either equity multiple or IRR. You can see all the cash flows up to the tier 3 equals 7.5. Initial investment was 5 million by the LP, so that's a 2.5, or sorry, 1.5x, essentially a 50% return. And so that wins. And then after that, we now have we'll have partial splits in the tier 3 because we're doing 90-10, and then after that hits, then the GP is getting most of the cash flows after that per the schedule and available cash flows. I also did a sensitivity table that shows which method would win based on different IRR and equity multiple hurdles. So here you can see as the equity multiple hurdle goes up, you're going to have the IRR method, be more prevalent, and as the IRR hurdle goes up, the equity multiple is going to be more prevalent. So this just says, okay, if the IRR hurdle is 25%, then a 1.5x is going to beat that, or you're going to hit a 1.5x quicker. And then as you go down, you'll hit the 25% IRR hurdle quicker than the 2x, 2, 4, 5, or 8x hurdle. So this is interesting to show you kind of when you switch, or what, based on all the different assumptions, which method would end up winning at these different rates, which are just different rates for these. And it's just sensitizing these two inputs so you can, without having to change these every time, you can see which method wins. Now, thinking about this, I'll probably add another sensitivity table to show what the LP's IRR and final equity multiple is, or maybe at least the IRR, with different hurdle rates. Now that I'm thinking about it, that probably makes a lot of sense. But let's just walk through a little bit of a scenario here. So let's say we change this to 90-10 investment, and we're going to split between the LP and GP 90-10, 90-10, and then once we have repaid all of the equity, so you can see the repayment of equity is happening right here. In this case, in this case it's the same pro rata amount because I did the same proportions, 90-10, for contributions, distributions up to that. But you can see here the repayment hurdle is 4.5, which is a contribution. Here's your pref, and then here's your split. And right now it's 90-10. So LP is getting this until they reach. And again, this hurdle is winning. Now, if we put this hurdle up to say 2, scroll down, and actually, I'm going to freeze this so you can see. So I had it at 1.5. Oh, dang it, it goes up. Okay, I guess it doesn't matter. So let's put it at 2. Now, 6,866,800, that's an IRR hurdle. So what that means is we're hitting the IRR hurdle first, which is this check here. So we hit 20% IRR before a 2x return. So once we hit that 20% IRR, all it's saying is whichever one of these is hit first, as soon as one of them are hit, we now jump to tier 4, which is a different cash flow split. And tier 4 is here. And you can see the checks. Here's your actual tier 3. So this is just checking between these two. This is your two checks, IRR and equity multiple, whichever one's hit first. Triggers. Here's the cash flow check in tier 3, and then we trigger to tier 4, and here's the cash flow check on tier 4. And then we just flow that right down to the summaries. Here's the total cash in and out for LP and GPs. Took me a couple hours, and I've built these all the time, so it was not easy to add this logic in. This is brand new. I've never built it before. I think it is useful to put in a deal. If you want to give the investor, maybe they don't really know IR hurdles or don't care about that, and they just they'd rather think about it in terms of an equity multiple. So you can plug in different cash flows and see, well, based on, say an equity multiple of 1.5, you'll get guaranteed this or a 20% IR, whichever happens first. And you can set the IR to maybe 30% or 35, or some high number if you just want the equity multiple to hit. But it's good to see, okay, at what point does the equity multiple become less than the IR or vice versa. And here's your preferred return up here. Usually these are the most common configurations. You're compounding unpaid returns. You're not clearing the unpaid returns off. If you hit yes here, it just means if your cash flows are short on the pref, like if this were 0, it just means the unpaid return accrues to the next year and still has to be paid in order to get out of that tier or that into the next hurdle. If you were to hit yes here, which is rare, that means any unpaid returns are not counted, and so you can see cash flow to LP is just to get to the pref. You're only looking at the hurdles for the years, whatever you had enough to pay during that year, and unpaid is not accruing. So that's rare. Usually this is no. Compounding might be no, might be yes. If it's no, it just means you're accruing the unpaid returns still, but you're just not compounding them on the balance. So yeah, this configuration here has helped a lot of people plug into their own models, but this new wrinkle here is another added feature where you can say, well, after commonly you'll have, okay, LP puts up all the money, they get 100% of the available cash flows until they've gotten their pref, they get 100% until they've gotten their money back, and after that we'll do, could be whatever, maybe 70-30 split until either we hit an IRR of 35% or a total return of whatever X, 2, 3X. Whichever one of these happens first triggers us to tier 4, and then we split it one final way. So I feel like I've gone through, really explained this in detail. Everything it does is all in one tab. I'm going to add a couple more sensitivity tables here to this before I post it and put it public. You will be able to download it. It'll be at smarthelping.com. If you come over here, if you just go to the home page, you can find it by going to joint venture waterfalls. This is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th one down. I organized my site into categories to try to make it easier to see. You can see there's all kinds of waterfalls here. I'll add this one. It'll be preferred return 5, so it'll be right below preferred return 4. I'll put it right down there. and you can download it individually. It'll be a $45, or if you want to buy the bundle for $200, you can get all of these templates all with one purchase. And if you want to check out more, you go to the Financial Models tab at the top. I've done all kinds of financial models over the past decade, hundreds, all unique, bottom-up assumptions for operating businesses. A lot of subscription models, recurring revenue, a lot of stuff in real estate. The waterfall I just went over now is commonly used in real estate joint venture models. I've connected some of them to these. I already have connected waterfalls. Obviously none that has this one because I just built this just now. But easily to integrate, you just copy and paste it in on one tab and you just plug in the cash flow at the top and your terms, and it'll plug right into any model on an annual basis. Here's a joint venture. We'll add that in here. Also, I've got general business valuation templates, accounting tools, HR management stuff, Google Sheets. If you want all the templates on the whole site, feel free. If you go to the sidebar to the right, Super Smart Bundle, it includes everything I've ever built. You get access to it and access to anything I ever add to it for a one-time purchase. Usually clients will do this. They'll buy this, they'll get work done. I'll pull from the templates as I need it from the library. They also have access to whatever I've built, and then usually we'll do billables like that. I'm available for hire, $275 an hour. Kind of busy right now. This has been one of my more busier months for clients in like the past 5 months. So you're probably going to be a week out. I mean, it's mid-December. Who knows? Whenever you watch this video, I might not be. You can just email me and see, and I'll let you know my availability. And if I am available, turnarounds are pretty quick. We get on a call, discuss maybe 1 to 3 hour job, maybe 5 hour job. Maybe it's something we're doing ongoing for a while, maybe a couple hours every few weeks, or whatever is needed. I'll just track time, credit paid, and we just go along, pay as you go. Alrighty, well, that's all I got for you. This is smarthelping.com. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.